What if your enemies were your weapons? This sounds kinda novel, but it isn't really. In the Pokemon games, you can catch wild Pokemon and use them yourself in future battles. Age of Empires 2 lets you convert enemy units mid-battle, and SpongeBob SquarePants, the movie game, requires you to stun and throw enemies to progress through the game. I want this in a twin-stick shooter though. So here's the plan. You know in recent Doom games how there's that super fast-paced back and forth of shooting, dodging, and then glory killing to get more ammo and health, so you can do more shooting, slashing, and glory killing. It creates this super tight flow state demanding all of your attention. Imagine that, but instead of getting more ammo and health, enemies themselves become weapons to kill more enemies. So the moment-to-moment game loop will be shooting, dodging, and then blasting or exploding, and with each of these blasts allowing you to kill more enemies, reinforcing the loop. The first prototype of this concept contained just an explosion on killing the very zombie-like enemy, named the Floater. Despite being so minimal, it proved to be a fun mechanic. It also highlighted how fun propagating explosions was. Setting up and igniting chain reactions was a major highlight. To tighten up that core loop even more, the second prototype added a delay to the explosion. This gives the player way more agency over what will happen in the world. The explosion can now be moved to where there are more enemies, or to where there are some ready to propagate the explosion onwards, or the player could just use it to escape a sticky situation. The set delay is not very obvious with the current visuals, but again, this is just a prototype. The current vision for how this will be shown is through the player character picking up the soul of the floater and slam dunking it into the ground. A second enemy has also been added. Currently just called Ranged Enemy, it moves towards the player and once in range, shoots a projectile. The plan for this enemy is most certainly not a spider throwing knives, but it's funny so we'll keep it for now. While explosions are very fun, it would get quite bland if all the abilities were just explosions. So to complement and contrast from the floater's area of damage, the ranged enemy ability is a super high damage single target laser. The laser instantly vaporizes any projectiles it touches and very quickly rips through any enemy. As it's a ranged attack given by a ranged enemy, it also feels quite apt. The usefulness of this ability is currently limited, as all the enemies are low health. However, I'm sure you can see what enemy might be added next. Fun little fact, the sporadic movement of these guys between shots was actually initially a bug, but it made it way more fun, so it's now a feature. On the surface, the movement hasn't changed much between the prototypes. It's very much based on the standard for the genre. You can move around, aim, and dash. Well, visually it's a roll, but mechanically it's the same thing. The dash disables collisions with enemies and projectiles. This works massively in favour of the intended moment-to-moment back and forth, allowing the player to get in way closer to enemies and move around them with a lot more freedom. While playing around, I'd often find myself doing desperate dashes to a laser to take out a bunch of ranged enemies, or dashing to the centre of a pack at just the right time to slam dunk a floater. That's the sort of gameplay, the sort of risk-taking and fast-paced action I'm after. However, because of this, the dash was way overpowered, as players could just dash forever, phasing through anything that might hurt them. To fix this, a cooldown was added. For the most part, I don't enjoy these speed-limiting features of other games. It makes the experience feel a lot more sluggish and makes something that should be super simple, kinda tedious. Just let me move fast. Fortunately, the world plan so far is not all that open, making the speed gains just for travelling less significant. It also forces the player to be far more intentional with their movements, timing the dashes just right to get where they want, as opposed to other games that just encourage the player to mash the fast button. Game design is trade-offs. We'll call this one a necessary evil. The last major point to highlight is feedback. Some call it game feel, I like to call it juice, but really it just boils down to how much impact, how real any action feels. By using some super simple tricks, we can take something that feels really abstract and uninteresting and turn it into a living world that you're a part of. Some obvious aspects of this include screen shake and sprite flashes, but it doesn't have to stop at surface level details. For example, the enemies can be knocked back and stunned after taking a lot of damage. Hell, even making the laser stop when it hits walls and enemies contributes to the feeling of this world being real. Just look at what happens when that's not the case. This prototype is currently available over on itch.io with a link in the description below. I'd love to hear what you think of it and how I could best improve it. So, throughout this video, I've been saying that I have put this all together. That's a lie. Most of the game design and creative work has been done by No Bones. I'm acting more as the programmer and just happen to be the one talking to you about it right now. If you're interested in weird games and content, please check out what he's made. There's links to his itch.io page and YouTube channel in the description. If you're interested in seeing more of this, let us know in the comments. We'll smell you later.
Don't worry, I'm still making drift though.